Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your man, Cat with Cat Fitness, and you are tuned in to another episode of Heal the Hood podcast. We are on episode 6, y'all. Episode 6. We have completed our guest speakers, all our guest speakers that came out to our Bayview event, and now we're on to Oakland. So we have another group of health coaches coming in, dropping jewels, dropping dimes to y'all, making sure y'all get all the information that y'all might need on your personal health journey. So tonight we have a very, very special guest, very dear to my heart. I call him a brother from another mother. We have, well, AKA used to be Vegan Monk, but Monk Eternal coming on this evening. And what he's going to be talking about is, being present, right? Sometimes we have a lot of blessings coming our way, but sometimes we're so worried about the past, the future, that we can't really receive the blessings that are right in front of us in the present moment. And he's going to be talking to us about that. Monk is an author. He's a transformational coach. He's also a 3-time natural physique bodybuilder. Finally, I got that right. I've introduced this man many a times. I think every time he always tells me to join the natural physique bodybuilding. But this evening we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna give y'all some game this evening, and I'm gonna bring my brother from another, Mr. Monk. You there, Monk?
And
what did I forget this time?
Wrong again.
What did I get wrong?
You said, say it again, repeat it. 3-time natural physique bodybuilding pro. Pro. You missed that. You see?
I missed pro?
No, again.
I missed it again?
You leave that one
That's
thing.
The longest title in the world, man. You gotta get 3-time natural physique bodybuilding pro. Man, if that's not one of the longest introductions. He was like, "Yeah, you got something again." Man, every blue moon, I'm gonna get it right. Because I go off the top. I don't have the stuff written down right in front of me. So trying to remember that title. I got it. You are author, right?
Yeah.
You're a transformational coach. So we got that down. Did I miss anything besides that?
Yeah. I'm a trainer as well, but I usually don't put that in. Yeah, but just in that. A public speaker. Yeah, I also do speaking.
Dang, I did. You are.
I'm just saying. I thought I guess not. You know what I'm saying? when you were over there,
I'm trying to give you all your accolades, though.
Oh no! When you said I got it right this time, and I'm looking at you like, no, you got it wrong.
I gave it my best effort. This is not the first. This is not going to be the last. We're going to get this thing right. We're going to make it happen. All right, man. Man, just living the dream. So once again, like I said, we got through all our speakers from Heal the Hood, San Francisco. Now we're going into Oakland. And, you were one of the first people I reached out when we were coming out to Oakland and speaking to the community. So I know a lot of people already know who you are, but there's people out there that don't know who you are that's going to be listening to this on our podcast, on our YouTube channel and everything. So I kind of want to give a little backstory, where you from, how you grew up, and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I actually was born in Bakersfield, but I lived up in a little place called Humboldt County. A lot of you know it because of the stuff they got out there, but
herbs.
Right. I moved to Oakland, man. First time in 1988. And then the second time in 96, and I haven't left. So I'm 50. I just turned 51.
Shit. And over 32.
Yeah, I just turned 51, and I'm out here doing this healing work with my brother Kat and a bunch of other people, and living my purpose now for the first time, in my entire life. The last 12 years, just 12 years ago, I was an alcoholic, and I was killing myself. And then I sat down and started meditating, and then everything started to change and evolve and expand. Everything I did in my life just flipped upside down. I was living that story, and then the story got changed. Now I'm living a different story, and this story resonates with my soul. So that's what I'm doing now.
So they call you monk, right? When you think of monks, you think of very like peaceful, calm people, right? What were you prior to monk? You know what I'm saying? Like, how were you growing up? Did you grow up in the streets? Did you grow up,
It
with
probably
a silver spoon? Like, what was that chapter? We're not gonna go there for too long, but I want our viewers to kind of understand who they're talking to and where you came from that aspect.
dysfunction was always a big part of my family, right? So uh, my father passed away when I was about three and a half or four, and there were seven of us, and we never had a father
Right.
figure at all in the house. So you start to accumulate these insecurities, and then on top of that, we're very, very, very poor, right? You start to realize you're poor
Now
when
there's poor and there's very poor. What,
very. Oh, we was very, very poor. The
yeah,
the the poorest. I mean, I don't think you can get poorer, right?
like y'all was getting the vouchers for the powdered milk back in the day, kind of poor.
Powdered milk, powdered eggs, government cheese, peanut butter in a silver can, just slabs of butter would just say butter on them. You know what I'm saying? The whole WIC program and everything was government assistance. So
Okay.
I mean, we would have died if we weren't on government assistance. That's how poor we were. You know what I'm saying? So when you start growing up, and then when you get to a certain age, and kids start to know what poorness is, what brokenness is. When you get to a certain age, then sometimes you start losing friends that realize that you're poor now, or friends that realize that they shouldn't be hanging out with you because of your circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Of your family, of your dysfunctional family. Maybe they're too good for you now. So as I built up, I accumulated a lot of insecurities, and as I got older, they just got greater and greater and greater, and I was so nervous and to even get up and say my name. I was definitely afraid of speaking in front of people. But that all changed when I found alcohol. When I found alcohol, it all changed. It almost suppressed that lower self almost.
So you started drinking some of that courage juice.
I started drinking some of that courage juice. And what that did for me is it made me more social, right? I was able to talk to people. I found a group of people that accepted me when I was doing that. And I started to, mess around with drugs and sell drugs. And the drinking progressively got worse and worse and worse. Then I started to get involved with a little bit of violence. And
How would you say you were when you started drinking?
so I was a teenager, probably late teens. I was a pretty cool, mellow kid, right? Until I started to hit puberty, and then all that changed. Then I was just out there. So when I started drinking, I started doing things, and the law of attraction had me going in a certain direction, and I ended up with a bunch of cats, and I was doing a bunch of things that I never thought I would do in my life. You know what I'm saying? As far as like carrying guns and, selling cocaine. I started messing around with that about in the 80s, probably late 80s. I started doing that. And I never was, I never was a baller when it came to that. I was too scared to go to prison because at this time, everybody's starting to go to prison. I'm like, shoot, I'm not going to put myself out there like that. It's going to be my time. I actually got caught one time with a lot of it on me, but they never found it. And at that time, I was so scared. And that was right about the time of my first child. And I was so scared, I got rid of it real fast. I'm like, I got to get out of this. I can't be doing this. But then a couple of weeks later, I went and recop some more and continued to do the same thing. And then eventually I had to get out of the area, and that's when I came down to Oakland. I was doing some things down here as well. I got a job here and there, but the alcoholism was really taking a toll. And then it got to a point where in my 30s where I was just like, what is it? What is this all about? You know what I'm saying? Why am I here? What is it? Is this the rest of my life? Is this going to be this? I was always chasing. That my whole life was chasing something.
So you essentially you had like a life-changing moment in your 30s, right?
Mm-hmm.
kind of woke you up and then you wanted to be more present and have a better understanding of the bigger purpose of what life is all about, right? And what would you say kind of helped guided you through that process? Because I know for me, my experience was in my 30s as well. When I had my health scare and everything that was going on in my life, that was like my early 30s. And then from there, the level of consciousness that continued to develop over the years. Um, like you said, my personal background, I grew up around church, but not really in the church. And so I had a foundation of spirituality, but it was one of those things that once I started focusing more within myself, I started to see the bigger picture, right? So I want to kind of hear from your point of view what that looked like for you.
Well, I was raised in the church, and that's why I went. When I went all the way the opposite direction.
Mm.
And for me, the me sitting down to meditate, it was, I didn't know what else to do at the time. So when that happened to me, I was that health thing. I was urinating blood after going to Miami and partying real hard, and I'm like, this can't be good. And the
Yeah.
reason why I say that I was an alcoholic is because even after that, I took a break for a minute, but even after that, I continued to drink. I could not stop it. The how uncomfortable I felt in my own skin. It was only a matter of time before I needed a drink to feel okay. So when I stopped drinking, it was either you live or you die. That's what it was for me. It wasn't about I want to find myself. It wasn't about anything like that. It's about I need to be here. There's a reason that I'm supposed to be here. I need to be here. Of course, I was scared to death too. So it's like, I'm in my 30s. Do I want to go out like this? My dad died at like 32, 32 years old, something like that. So for me, it was a life or death situation. But I didn't know what to do after I quit. I was still anxious. I was chain smoking, Newports. I needed to do something. I was uneasy. I was anxious. I needed to do something. I didn't know what to do. And then I don't know why meditation crossed my mind, but it did. And I just started sitting down. And for years, I didn't know if it was making a difference or not, but I knew when I sat down every day, I kind of moved. It was a little bit lighter of a day. I can get through the day a little bit better. And then the more I sat, the more things were shown to me. The more I sat, the more compassion it was cultivated inside of me. I started looking at people like I wanted to help them. The more I sat, the more I became in love with myself. I never knew how to love myself. I always had a very, I always viewed myself very low. That's what I'm saying. I was very insecure because of what was told to me when I was young and what I seen when I was young, my experiences growing up. And I really started to love myself. And when I started to love myself, I began to be able to love other people. And I didn't know where this was coming from. I didn't know why I was feeling like this, but I knew something was happening. And sitting down, and I didn't even know what sitting down was actually doing. But now that I realized sitting down, I was actually connecting to the higher part of myself, the part of myself that knows already. There's a part of us that already knows what we're supposed to be doing here and which direction to go. But a lot of times we're so cloudy and our minds are so crowded, and we have this story that was created for us that we identify with that is confusing. And when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing here, there's this inner conflict going on. You're not supposed to be doing this, but you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. And there's a lack of clarity. So when you start to sit down and connect, everything starts to get cleared out, right? What happened with me is my whole story began to change internally. So I was starting to let the old story go, and I was creating this new story. And then one day you wake up, and it's like when you go to the gym and you start the first day, you don't see the results. You may not see results for 6 months. You may not see that much of a results in a year, but be consistent for 5 years. And then I promise you, if you look at some of your old pictures, you're going to look completely different. Well, when it comes to working, doing that inside work, doing that work in here, it's the same thing. You wake up and now you're like, I act different. I move different. I think different. I treat people different. I treat myself different. I'm starting to love myself now. And even everything in my life changed, including my diet. And that's because I had so much compassion within myself. I realized that having compassion just for people was still not enough. It goes further than that. I understood the oneness of everything and how animals can suffer. I didn't know what a vegan was before I went vegan. Before I stopped eating meat, I should say. I didn't know what it was. But think about it.
Before we get too far into that part of your life, let me interrupt you real quick. So, as you were sitting there, becoming more present and finding this new practice, right, of meditation and everything, did you find me and you, I think we've had this conversation off camera but never really on camera to share with people, but the synchronicity in your life, right, how things like how the day tends to flow after meditation and just putting yourself in a certain mindset when you start off real early. Because I know, what time do you start when you wake up? It's one of
Well,
the things that you first do, right?
before COVID, I was up real early, but now I get up at 5.
Okay.
And yeah, so I don't get up too early. And I go through my morning gratitude and I go through my morning meditation. That's the first thing I do. And then later on in the afternoon, I'll do it again. If I have time, I'll try to sneak another one in. But
with those practices, how did the day, like, with showing that gratitude, that mindset and everything, how did your day start to change and evolve from there after doing that practice for a while?
right, like I said, my days were just lighter. I almost put it like this: if it makes your day better, right? If it makes your day better, then
Mhm.
your week's gonna be better, then your month's gonna be better, then your year's gonna be better, then your life's gonna be better. If you can do one thing that makes your day better every single day, you're gonna have a better life just from that one thing,
Mhm.
right? So all the things that we need to see are there in front of our face. We're just not in a place to receive them. And what
Mhm.
meditation is like it puts the antennas up. It makes you see things that you never
So
used to
when
see.
your antennas, okay, this is where I'm going with this. So when your antennas go up, right? Like, for instance, let's bring it back. This is going to be between me and you. And so when we first met, right, my antennas were up. I didn't know I didn't know where you were going to be. I didn't know who you were, but I knew that I had to be in a certain place at a certain time. I didn't know why I was supposed to be there, but I just was there, right? So when we first met, I was having that experience, that meditative experience where I was like, man, I know I'm supposed to be somewhere, just being present in my own skin, in my own mind, allowing myself to guide me to the next move, right? And when we met, and you can testify to this, when we met, it was like, man, we've had a relationship for years, right? Instantly, to the point where you were so present. Remember what you first told me when we met, where we were going to go?
Oh yeah, I knew it. I knew it. We
Where?
were in LA. We was going to LA.
LA. But for people on their journey, this is what I want to get to. People on their journey that get those feelings, like you had to go to LA, or the feelings that I had to make sure that I went to that location where I didn't know you were going to be there. But once I got there, I knew why I had to be there, type
Yeah,
feeling, right?
yeah, yeah.
A lot of people don't follow that. And it doesn't allow them to receive their blessings in that moment, because it was a blessing meeting you. All the things that we were able to create from that moment on, the last, what, 2-3 years that we've
Mm-hmm.
been linked up together, all the things that we
And
have
we're still going.
established and able,
Still going. And it's gonna get
it's
bigger.
still going. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times people's antennas are up and they're feeling a certain kind of way, right? They're feeling like, damn, I need to do this or do that, but they put it off for whatever particular reason. When you started having your antennas up and start recognizing, I need to do these things. I need to go to LA. I need to, what I'm saying, all those things. How did that make a difference with the meditation practice that you currently do? How did that change? Like, I want to get in there today.
I'm gonna tell you a story that just happened the other day. So
Okay.
I still go to the coffee shop, right? And
Good.
I sit outside with my books because I need to get away from the house because I'm too comfortable here, right? That's where I
Right.
do all my work at. So people think I'm crazy. I'll go out there and sit on the ledge, it's closed, but I'll go ahead and drink my tea or whatever, right? And this one day, something told me, go sit on the other side because I usually sit on this side. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna go sit on the other side, right? So I go sit down, read my book. I got my little meditation music on. I'm reading my book, drinking my tea, just sitting there. And this woman walks around the corner and she says, are you the one that had the empath shirt on? And this was probably a year ago. This is after the shutdown happened for a long time. And I said, yeah, that's me. And she goes, I didn't think I was going to ever see you again. She said, I usually walk the other way, but today I chose to walk this way. And we sat down and had a 2-hour conversation.
Wow.
She said, sorry to bother you. I said, you're not bothering me. You're the reason why I sat right here. And I'm telling you, it got emotional. The whole thing needed to happen. It was like I was placed there. She went that way so we can have this conversation. So,
But if you weren't in the space that you were in and you were like, I'm just gonna sit my ass right here. I'm not gonna move. You know what I'm saying? This is my spot. I'm comfortable here, or not leaving the house. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
it's like, I'm just gonna stay at the house. But you knew you were supposed to be at the coffee shop, you know, doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I feel that that's where some people are at in their journeys, right? They don't take to heart those signs that they get on a daily basis, because we
right.
all get something on a daily basis. We get some kind of sign or signal to be somewhere, to call somebody, to get up and move. And I feel like a lot of blessings, not saying that you lose them, but you keep on repeating certain cycles, you
Yeah.
know, until that awareness comes and you kind of tap into that.
Yeah. So this happens all the time if you are aware. Every encounter is on purpose. I don't care if it's just an eye contact. I don't care if it's standing in the line in the grocery store next to somebody. That's why it's so important to keep your vibe so high. It's so important to keep your awareness up because all of it means something. Just like you're always looking at signs and that sign is telling me that I know I'm in the right spot, that 15, that this, that, and the other. It's always there. It's always there. There'll be a big, someone invited me to a men's meeting out here where I'm at. And I was like, sure, I'll come. I'd love to have you at this men's meeting. I didn't know what it was all about, whatever. But the building is my address on a different street. And I'm talking about my address is 5 or 6 numbers long. It's the exact same address. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? And it's always there. Signs are always there. And when you're in a meditative state, you can see them real time. You don't have to look back and go, oh, that's why. You can know right now, what do I need to get from this and be hyper aware? Like, what is this all about? Right? What do I need to get from this? What is this telling me? So when we met, I'm just instantly like, we need to go. We need to go to LA. We need to do this. I could have been like, oh, that was interesting. You know, that was a cool little dude. Instantly, I'm like, what we gonna do? We were brought together to do things.
Exactly.
And then we started doing, right? We went down to the pig vigil and met Chef Babette and just been doing everything. We got the thing going, and it's amazing. Like the things are gonna still continue to happen because you decided to show up and I decided to engage with you. That's a miracle. I mean, you can't even make it up. You know what I'm saying? So when we look back, a lot of people go, well, wasn't that interesting what happened? But no, you can go, wow, it's happening right now. That's the present moment. That's the now we living in. Because when you live from that space, you can then make decisions from this space, right? Going forward. We're always looking back and seeing how things happen instead of realizing what's happening right now. So for us to even meet, think of the paths that we both had to take in our life, not just that day, but in our life to get you to a vegan diet or a plant-based diet, to get me to one. You're sober, I'm sober. Think of all the things that had to happen. Your health scare, my health scare, for us to end up in that space at that time.
and to
That's
be able to share with each other, to be
yeah.
open enough to share what was going on in our present moment in that time, to be like, damn, like that's a hell of a coincidence, you know what I'm saying? Instead of looking at things as a coincidence, knowing that it's serving some kind of purpose, whether it's for myself, you, or those around us in that moment, you know? And I feel like when people develop that sense of awareness or that sense of consciousness, um, meditation is almost a workout to continue to keep that balance, to keep that open frequency, to be able to accept those signs that you receive on a daily basis, wherever they may come from.
So here's the thing about, you're only going to be able to receive what you vibrate at, right? However high your vibration is, that's the only, you're only going to be received from that space. So let's say you got a 3-story house, right? On the
Hmm.
bottom floor, you're vibrating real low, right? So your experiences, what you see, are going to be from this floor. These are your only choices. You're not going to see anything else. And that's why so many people make bad decisions all the time, because their choices are from the place where they're vibrating from. So as you raise your vibration, you get different choices. It's like now you have door number 2. This is what you get to choose from. These things are different. These friends that you're attracted to on this level are different. The more you raise your vibration up, right,
Yeah.
the more your life becomes incredible.
So how did you break away from your old vibration?
How did I
Because the
break
people
away
that
from
you
it?
used to kick it with, yeah, the people that you used to kick it with are not vibrating on the same frequency that you are right now,
Yeah.
because they're probably, some of them probably still living that same old lifestyle, repeating that same cycle over and over, not realizing that they can make change in their life whenever they decide to. And you decided at a certain point you needed to make that change. So how did
So
you break away from that old cycle? Because that's where a lot of people are stuck. They're so comfortable in the circle, in the environment, in the routine of everything that they do every single day, that they don't know how to break away from it and start something new.
I'm gonna tell you, I got good news for you. Work on yourself, and you don't have to break away from anything.
Mm,
You- it- your energy, it's not good. They're not going to be able to be around your energy. So the people you used to hang around with, they're just going to organically, they're just going to start to drift apart. Just like a relationship drifts apart, you just start to
mhm.
drift apart, because the vibration, they don't match, right? So you don't have to. The thing about that is, you might have a period in your life where the old friends are gone, and then your new tribe has not showed up yet, and you're in this place by yourself, right? But you're doing that
You're in the
self
cocoon.
you're doing that self work, right? And a lot of
Yeah.
people, when you get to this point, they feel uncomfortable, and they reach out back to the old friends, because they want someone to hang out with, and you know what I'm saying, they get sucked back into that old cycle, because they're not okay with being in this space right now. For me, I didn't have a choice. I needed to be in this space right now. But what happened is I can continue to grow and move forward and start to do the things I was doing. My new tribe started to show up, and they showed up in a whole different way. They showed up with support. They showed up with love. They showed up with real friendship, right? They show the people that are in my life now, and I can count them. They're very few people that I trust them with everything. When I was
Mm.
doing what I was doing back in the day, you always had one eye open. Like there was only a couple people that I really trusted back then. Other than that, you know, hey, there ain't no rules when it comes to crime.
No, there's
You know
no
what
honor
I
amongst
mean?
thieves, right?
Come on, man. Come on. So you always like, you something come up missing, you thinking everybody, like, who took it? What how,
Yeah, who came through the
hey,
crib today?
which one of these people that I hang around with did this? It don't even
Yeah.
make sense, right? So the beautiful people that show up now, and the opportunities that show up now, tells me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's all in alignment.
So let me ask you this. So did you make a conscious effort to try to stop drinking? Like, was it something that you were like, you're like, I'm just gonna stop?
Yeah, I
Or
had
was
to.
it,
I
yeah?
had to. So this would happen. Like I said, I couldn't stop right after that one incident, and I kept having those same incidents. It was
Mm,
still the same thing, and I was depressed, dude. I was just like, damn, I'm sitting here drinking and this stuff is happening to me and I'm not stopping. What is
Yeah.
wrong with me? Like, how come I
Like
can't do
you
it?
like you was trying to commit suicide damn near.
No, because it was the only thing that made me feel good for a minute mentally, but then that happens and then it takes you back down, and you wake up and you got all this stuff going on, and then you're depressed, and so how can I get back? I got to drink to get back out of this because I can't deal with what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And then one night after a party, I said, that's it. It has to stop. So I forced to stop. That's why I know what day that I stopped on. I said I have to stop, and then it was hard. I said I can't, I can't drink anymore. But as time went on, right, I got 1 week in, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, right?
Those cravings to have those drinks, whether because certain people you drink whether you have anxiety, you're depressed, whatever the case may be, whatever triggers you wanting to drink, right? When those triggers would happen, how would you crave those urges to drink?
So at first, I was still smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So that was from the drinking. I usually didn't smoke unless I drank, but after I stopped drinking, I was like, I need to do
It's
something.
so
Right?
funny how those go hand in hand.
Look, I
I used to drink and smoke Newports or Black and Miles.
yeah, I smoked and drank and smoked weed. That's what I did, right?
Yeah.
So, so I just started smoking cigarettes without alcohol because I felt like I needed to do something. I was anxious, right? I didn't know what to do. I was like, my life. I can't drink no more. I can't party no more. This is what I do, right? I go out to the clubs. I go to the house. I do barbecues. I drink. I kick.
You're the one that's bringing the bottle.
Man, come on, call the fellas up. What's up? Let's do it big. Be up all until 4 or 5 in the morning doing it. Do it again the next day. That's what I did. Now, what do I do with my life? I didn't know what to do, right? And then after a while, about a year into that, then I started like, I need to do something because I don't know if I can this is sustainable for me. And then meditation came up. I don't know how. And I just started sitting, man. I was like, this is going to have to be it for me. I done tried religion. I done tried everything else. Let me sit down, and it started to slowly change, and I started to feel better. And then I knew at a certain point that I got this. Like, it was removed from me. I did so much inner work, so much healing work that I knew that I never needed to drink again after that.
Were you fighting yourself though during that process, like fighting yourself not to have those drinks, like when you have those urges and stuff like that, or would you find like working out or meditating enough distraction because you're feeling that space that once was always drinking and going out and kicking it?
But addictions change forms too. So I did go from not drinking to doing other things that were addictive behavior as well. But I just wasn't drinking. So I was still doing my healing work, right? I was still sitting down. But as time went on, those things started to drop off as well, right? Because a lot of people, when they stop drinking, they'll go to addiction to food, sex, whatever it might be. The next batter up, right? It's like I'm not doing this anymore, but I'm gonna do this because I'm not comfortable with my life, so I need to be doing something all the time. And luckily for me back then, they didn't have social media like they did now, because it'd have been a whole 12 years ago, it'd have been a whole different ball game. I would have been sucked all the way into that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So luckily, I did my work to a point where I was getting better as social media was being more popular.
Yeah.
And I start to use it for good instead of for bad. Yeah, it was a slow process. It was a slow process.
You know what's interesting, because during my process, because I was the same person when it came to drinking, right? If it was some kind of social gathering, whatever the case may be, I was known for the person to either go get the bottle or have the bottle already, and it was one of those things where I just asked myself a question, right? Like, why do I need to have a drink? How's it serving me, right? Once I started asking myself, like, what is this really doing for me? Like, why am I really picking up a shot of alcohol when I really don't want it? You ever have a drink and it's like, why did I have a drink, right? I could have been doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but I decided to have a drink. And when I got to that point, I was like, what would it feel like? This is one thing I asked myself. I was like, what would it feel like to be sober for a year? Because at that point in my life, I wasn't sober since I was probably like 15, 14 years old, right? Haven't had a complete sober year since I was a freshman in high school. And now I'm a adult, still dealing with the same thing, right? And once I asked myself, I was like, I want to see what it feels like. I want to see what it feels like to be sober for 1 year. And that 1 year has turned into 2 years, which turned into 3 years. I think this upcoming February or March or something is going to be 4 years since I had a drink of alcohol. And it was one of those things, it's like once I was able to release it and see that it didn't serve me anymore, because same kind of thing. I felt like it made me more sociable, or I felt more loose, or I felt like I could be myself more, or whatever the case may be. Which was funny because in the same instance, even when I would drink, you wouldn't think I was drinking. Like I wasn't one of those, people that
Right,
would get sloppy drunk or anything like that. It was just like I, I don't know. I can't really put it into words, but it just enhanced whatever that was
right.
already there,
That was me.
that was naturally there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, and to realize to get to a place in my own personal journey where I knew that no longer had a place, and I was like, I can just be who I am without the alcohol. It was like, what's the point? You know
Well,
what I'm saying? When
you got to understand this part. It's like everybody drinks, whether it's social or not, for any reason. They drink to alter their consciousness. They drink to alter their how they feel, right? So for whatever reason, and I tell some of my younger clients this: ask yourself why you drink at all. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it's celebratory. It doesn't matter if you won the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. Why do you drink? Why do you feel like you need to change yourself? Why do you feel like you aren't good enough or can't have a good time without alcohol? And they can't answer that question. They're just like, because that's what you're doing. You're changing yourself. You do not think that you can have enough fun
Right.
without this drug.
Or you can't cope without it. You can't
Right.
use it as a coping mechanism. You can't cope without it.
Right. I'm just saying, even on a social
Yeah.
level, like, oh, we're going to celebrate. Why do you need to celebrate with alcohol? Why you can't have enough fun after winning the Super Bowl? Why you
Yeah.
need to drink on top of that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. It just means you want to alter your mood. You want to alter your consciousness, right? So when they can answer that question and they can answer it like give me a good reason why they feel like they need to do that, which you can't, right? Then they start to ask the question that you ask yourself: What if what would that be like without alcohol, right?
Yeah. What does the world look like that?
Sneaky. Alcohol is sneaky because no one ever starts off just by drinking 40s, right?
Yeah.
You that little light drink or whatever, right? And you don't do it all the time, and then you do it a little bit more frequent. And then especially when you're not going to school and you're an adult and you're not doing anything legal, what are you gonna do with all your time?
Mhm.
Right? You're not going to a 9 to 5 job. You can get up at 11 and start doing this, right?
Yeah.
And drinking. I mean, you have no responsibilities, so you think. So you can drink whenever you want, do whatever you want, right? So people with jobs, usually they'll save their drink until after work or the weekends. But when you don't do anything legal and your job can be when you want it to be, you
It-
start earlier, right?
yeah.
You start early afternoon and go for the rest of the night. So it sneaks up on you. You start out light. No one starts out immediately as an alcoholic, right? But then over the years, you just don't realize how much that you do
Right.
until you get to like my point where I thought I was just kicking it with I was just partying, but really I was really killing myself.
And then how much damage it does over the years. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like on both our paths, we continue to drink for the next 15 or 20 years, how much internal damage will we have done to ourselves? You know what I'm saying? At that level. And now wouldn't even realize it until something major happened, just like in your situation, until you start peeing out blood, or you have kidney issues or whatever the case may be. And then you're like, oh shit, well, it was the 20, 30 years of drinking. Now what do I do?
Go fix.
Now you're yeah, now you're reactive instead of being proactive with your life. Now, you came out with your book is coming out next month. Am I
Yes,
correct? Or is it
it
yeah?
it it, it was supposed to be January. I just got an email yesterday about pushing it back even a little bit more, but I set up a meeting with them, so I'm not exactly when it is. It's done,
Okay.
right? It's I as far as the
I seen the
printing.
cover. It looks
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write this book. Like, how did you get? Because if you're like me, I would never think about being an author, right? That seems like just out of growing up the way I grew up, I couldn't imagine, being an author. Now it's a little bit different. Now I have to find a topic that that I want to focus on, and once that happens, it's only a amount of time before the book comes out, right? But what inspired you to sit down and write this book? And tell
So
us the title of the book as well.
it's called Love Over Fear, A Guide to Peace and Purpose. So before I started this new journey, my new life, my rebirth, I like to call it, I never read a book from cover to cover in my entire life. Not in school, never. So even in school, when we're supposed to read a book, I'm sure I'm not the only one. You just try to see what's important in the book, some cliff notes or whatever, and then keep it pushing and try to pass the test. But that wasn't part of my reality. Books were books for any reason. So when I started to meditate and do these other things, I just things started to interest me, and I started to pick up certain books or hear about certain books, and I started reading, and I started reading a lot. I read every day. I don't know how many books that I read a year, but I read books, read books, and reread books all the time, and not because I'm out here trying to really learn something necessarily, but a lot of the books that I read, they uh, make me aware of things that I'm already going through. It's almost like confirmation. So I read a ton of books, right? So, and one day I was watching a YouTube video, and like I told Kat earlier that I'm a speaker, and I was watching the video, and the speaker goes, "Well, what do you have to give away to your audience after your speaking engagements?" And I was like, I said, my energy, right? Uh, my words, but that's it. And, a lot of times, that when people leave something like that, they might hold it for a little while, but a lot of times they forget what you say. They, you can share the energy at the time, but when they leave, that's not there anymore either. So a lot of times, words go in one ear and out the other. And I was thinking to myself, I said, I got to do better. I said, a year prior to that, I was getting ready to do a speaking engagement. And I wrote these 10 things, these 10 principles down, and I was going to speak on them. Usually when I speak, I just go up there and whatever's on my heart, I speak it. So we got some loudness outside. But this time I wrote these 10 things down. I was going to go up there and do the speaking engagement, but I didn't speak on it. I just did what I normally do. And then when I watched this video, I said, I'm going to take those 10 things. This is a year prior that I wrote these, and I still had them in. I just wrote them down and I shelved them, and I brought them back up. I said, I'm about to write a book on these things, and I'm about to really break it down and elaborate on these 10 principles. And that's how I came up with the book. And it just all fell in place beautifully. And I had a couple other people that came on to help me complete it. And it's going to help a lot of people. And it's going to give me a lot of opportunities to speak on the things that, on the topics that I have in this book. And I'm super excited about it. And I just know it's going to open a lot of doors as far as me being able to help others, especially the kids that might be, are at the crossroads where they can either go this way or this way. With myself, if I would have probably had that, I probably wouldn't have went that way. Especially if I would have had a male role model or any male in my life that could have said, you know what, you can do this. If you just put your mind to it, if you just do this, there's opportunities, you can do this, you can do that. But no one was there to tell me I can do anything. So I did what I wanted or what I felt that I should do. and it really sent me in the direction where everything was a learn as you go. And when you learn as you go, a lot of times you have a lot of hard lessons. And I had a lot of hard lessons. And I want to be here to help these young men, especially, to realize how great they are and help them so they don't have to learn those hard lessons. Even though it really helped me in the long run, it wasn't pleasant and it wasn't necessary. So that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book, and it came from a very inspired place. I would sit down for hours and write over and over and over. I would write for hours, and it seemed like my pen was just moving, and it wouldn't stop. So I know it came from.
Could you give us like okay.
What's that?
No, I was gonna say, can you give us like a sample out of one of the chapters of what you talk about?
Oh, well, I'll tell you the 10 things I talk about. Let me see if I can remember the 10. So I talk about love, of course, right? That's the number one thing because that's what we are. And if we move from this place, our life will be beautiful, period. And I talk about, all the different, there's not different types of love, but love can be directed in different ways, right? So love directed toward myself.
Different forms.
Towards, right? It's all unconditional, real love. There's no different types, but it's all about where you focus that love, right? A lot of people don't know how to love themselves. They have a very poor image of themselves. They're too hard on themselves. They hold a lot of guilt and shame. So I talk about that. I talk about gratitude. If we live a life of gratitude, if everything, look, I forget who said it. It said, you can look at everything as if it's a miracle, or you can look, he said, you can look at everything as if it's, I forget what it said. What was that saying? You can look at everything as if it's a miracle, and I forget what the other part is, but I look at everything as if it's a miracle because life is a miracle in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
every day.
Right? Everything's a miracle. So gratitude, live a life full of gratitude. Then I go to meditation. And with all these things, I tell you how to live from this place, right? So I tell you how to meditate. What are some good practices as far as gratitude, the gratitude journal and how to live from a place of gratitude. And I break it all down for you. So it's literally a guide. And then I go to being present. Life only exists in the present, period. People don't understand this. This is a hard concept for people, but we live in the eternal now. It's always now.
Let me ask you this. How important do you think nutrition plays into keeping yourself in the present?
Well, I think it plays an important part in keeping your vibration high, right?
Okay.
Really keeping your vibration high. So nutrition is very important, right? For your body temple, right? And even for your mind and the way you think and the way you move. Because
I think that's been one of the biggest, because we talked about this hundreds of times about, our transition of being plant-based and being vegan wasn't necessarily because we knew it and we made a conscious decision. It's like, oh, that sounds cool. That sounds like amazing diet. I want to go on that and try it out. Right. It was over time, releasing certain things nutritionally that didn't serve us anymore until we got to a point where like you said, the frequency was high and you were like, oh man, you can feel the difference when you're releasing certain energy within your gut. And that was a major change in my life.
I really think when we were ready for it, because we didn't really have it in our consciousness, but when we were ready for it, it was brought to us, right? So when I was eating that vegetarian breakfast, the person I was with said, "Are you a vegetarian?" I never thought about that at all. And I was like, yeah. How did this happen? But I knew I wasn't going to eat meat anymore. And in your situation, someone came to you, what did you know about a vegan diet, right? When you were ready to hear it, it was brought to you. We only get what we're ready for. You see what I'm saying? So doing our work on ourselves prepared us to be ready to take that next step. So
I agree 110%.
Being present, that's the only thing that ever exists. There ain't no future, there ain't no past, right? Period. Tell me make your point if you think there is a future and a past, right? So have you ever been to tomorrow? Have you ever made it to tomorrow? No.
Only in my mind.
That's the thing. The future and the past is all in your mind. It's all in your
Yeah.
mind. Oh, and that's
Mm.
why we can, a lot of us in this crazy society with all these distractions, we don't have that joy in our life because we're always somewhere else. We never live in the beautiful now, right? The now moment where the stress ain't there, where the life is just life exactly how it should be. We don't experience that. We're always either projecting or living in shame and regret, right? So as far as my book goes, being present, and that's super huge. And I tell you how to do that, right? How to be present
Can
when
you give us one, because that's one of the topics today. Can you give us one uh, piece of
example.
advice? Yeah,
Well,
one example, one piece of advice to our viewers that kind of helps us being more grounded and more present in the moment, since that's a
so
key thing.
so once a day. So if you can get out and walk once a day, and completely be aware of your surroundings,
Mhm.
that's huge. I used to walk for a long time and not even realize I wouldn't see anything. I was all here the whole time. So if you can just go for a short walk every day and look at everything, you will be amazed how much you don't see when you're not paying attention, right? When you're not present in this moment. And that's why everything became more beautiful to me. Like I would see the flowers, I would see the birds. I was so present with everything that I wasn't missing everything, and I can see the beauty in life. When we're not present, when we're in our minds, we miss it all. I mean, even with our families, we're not present, we're not there, we're gone. So we don't miss those beautiful moments with our kids, right? They want our attention, but we're somewhere else. We're gone. And we miss their whole life, right? We miss our whole life when we're not present. We're always somewhere else. And somewhere else is always better. Or somewhere else in your mind is always more important than being here.
Why do we tell ourselves that? You know what I'm
I
saying? Like everywhere. Like I think we've had this conversation where we're like, wherever, whatever baggage you're holding on here, that baggage is going to be. You can go across country and still have that exact same baggage. If you kicking it with a certain type of person, you having a certain kind of energy around you, no matter where you go in the world, that energy is going to be present because that's who you are at that present moment.
well, look, you can't run from yourself.
Not at
Wherever you
all.
go, there you are, right? You think changing locations or changing girlfriends or changing life situations is going to change you? It's not. You got to change you. And then your life situations will change to match that. See, we don't understand that we only get what we are aligned with, right? Whatever we're aligned with. So if you have friends that are shisty and shady, guess what? You right there with them. You on the same level, right? If you have a partner that's not good to you, you guys attracted each other. If you always end up with the same dude that treats you bad or the same woman that treats you bad with a different name, you're inviting that into your life. You're attracting that. We have to take full responsibility for our lives because everything in it is because of us. There's no victimhood here, right? So if your life is not going the way you think it is, it's time to take a look in the mirror. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but that's what it is. I know now, looking back, that everything that I got myself into back then, whether or not it's because of my subconscious programming or whatever, I know it was all me, right? I knew it was all me. Not then, but I knew it. I know it now. I can see it clearly now that what I was getting into was because of where I was at, not because of what somebody had did to me, right? No matter how you grow up and whatever situation you're in, you can always get out of that old story. You never have to be a victim. You can take your power back. That old story, it's in there, but you can create a new story, but you have to let the old story go. And that's what I believe both of us did. You have to in order to have something new, you have to let go of the old. And a lot of times we have to put one foot in, one foot in and one foot out. You can't do that because it's always going to suck you back in. You have to really make that decision to really let that story go and create something new. You can't create anything new when you're holding on to the old story. And it's a lot. And healing is a hard thing to do, right? Awakening is a hard thing to do. You see things that you don't want to see. You deal with emotions that you tried to avoid for 20, 30, 40 years. This stuff is going to come up. And when you don't have alcohol to push it back down or something to push it back down, you got to deal with these things. But that's what healing is all about. Letting them come up, healing from them, and letting them to go permanently, letting them go. Instead of repressing, suppressing emotions, you're able to allow those emotions to be processed and allow them to go so you can heal. So now you can have healthy relationships, whether it be with your children, right? I was not a good father. I was not. I was too busy off doing whatever I was doing. You know, that whole Papa was a Rolling Stone type thing. Dysfunctional relationships all over the place, kids all over the place. And I love all my babies, and I should have been a better father to them. But I wasn't. I didn't know how to at the time. I was just running in the dark.
But they got to see the growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially from your oldest child. I think that's always interesting too, because my oldest son has seen two different pops or all the different pops all the way into this present moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all the growth, all the change and different stuff like that. Cause he even says like, Dad, you change. like the way you approach situations and the way you talk to people and the way you present yourself is totally different from when I was little. And I was like, yeah, I just changed as a human being. Like my mindset and the energy that I want to put in the world is just, it's different now. You know, I look at things differently. I weigh situations differently. And I think until you get to that place where, like you said, you let go of that old story, not hanging on to what people told you once were or the limitations that you had on your life once upon a time. Really allowing yourself to put yourself out there to see what you're capable of doing. Because sometimes I think we don't allow ourselves to see all our true potential due to whatever fears that we may have internally, whether it's something that was placed there at a very young age or just the insecurities of just trying something new. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And when we take the time and actually see that, oh, I'm capable of doing a lot more than anybody ever told me that I was capable of doing. It kind of just like it's like, what's next? You know, once you do that first thing that really shows you what you're capable of doing or the potential that you have in your life, and it excites you, it's something that gets you like fired up for the day. I feel like that's just the momentum some people need to see in their life to continue. It's just like working out, right? Just like you said, the person that works out and sees the scale move 2 pounds within the first couple weeks or the first month, they're like, oh shit, I can lose weight. What did I do? Well, I ran, I ate better, you know, I stayed away from junk food and all the stuff. How much weight can I lose? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They get excited, they get fired up, they find a passion for it, and they use that momentum. And then, you know, you can take that same concept and utilize it in any part of your life.
See, the thing about, and it's not easy. See, sometimes it sounds easy when we talk about stuff like this, right? Um, but the subconscious programming is a hard thing to um, understand. We have to
Mhm.
understand that we have a hard drive that's created for us at a young age. So whoever's listening, what did you see as a child from birth to 7? What did you experience? What kind of trauma did you experience? How did you see your family structured? Right? Did you have an alcoholic parent? Did you have abusive parents? At that time, what were your peers like? You know, at a young age, what were they like? How were you treated? What did you see? And I'm gonna tell you right now, whatever you experience at that young age, as an adult, that's still in you. So when pressure is applied to your life, you're always gonna default back to that program. Unless you heal from whatever that program is created for you, right? We identify with this program. For example, what if you were a little overweight kid and your parents always said, "Oh, you're fat," or "Stop eating, you're fat," or whatever the case may be, and then you grow up, right? You start to grow up and you continue to hold this weight, and then you become an adult, and your whole life kids are calling you fat or whatever the case may be. And then you get up as an adult and you lose weight, right? You start to really feel good about yourself and you start to lose weight. And then something happens. Someone comments on you or someone does something and you go right back to that old program. You sabotage yourself. Why do you think so many people yo-yo when it comes to things like this? Why do you think so many people alcohol, no alcohol, alcohol, no alcohol, relationships, in one relationship, out one relationship, doing good, doing bad, doing good? Because we have this program that we're ran by. Unless we are able to heal from this and allow this program to go, we're always going to be in this loop, and it's always going to go backwards, and we're always going to re-experience, right? We're going to have the same experiences over and over and over and over and over. We're going to do good, we're not going to do good. We're going to do good, we're going to drink, we're not going to drink. We're going to be faithful to our spouse. Then something happens, a big fight, blow up, and you go and you cheat. You know what I'm saying? These are the cycles that I was in for the longest time. This is what I saw growing up. And I used to tell myself when I got older, I was like, I don't want to be like my father. I don't want to have a family structure like the one I've seen. And guess what? I grew up just like my mother and my father. The same things that I didn't want. This was my hard drive. This is my default. So anytime something happened, I went right back to what I felt comfortable with. Not what was best for me, but what I felt comfortable with. And that was dysfunction. My whole life was dysfunctional on every level until I started to really find out who I really was, find out who my true self was, not the story, not the program. And then I was able to let that old program go, and was able to create something new. And I'm just telling you, if you're struggling, if you're having a hard time, it's not going to last forever, but you have to let that old story go to create something new.
Hey, that's beautiful. Monk, 'cause I know you do a lot of coaching now, helping people, change that story from the inside out. We're getting towards the end of the show, so let people know where they can find you via social media, or if they're looking for coaching, websites, how to check out the book, and when the book is supposed to launch. Give them all that kind of information.
So I'll have the website stuff and my social medias on my website is monketernal.com. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it's monk_eternal, and Facebook, Vegan Monk, and Twitter, Monk something.
Hey, why does everybody say they Twitter? They say, "Oh yeah, I got Twitter," da 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 da. But I'm not really on there like that. Hey, everybody gives their Twitter, but nobody's on Twitter. That's funny.
Yeah, I never really did. Man, I think I probably had Twitter.
It takes too much work for me. I looked at Twitter, I was like,
I probably had Twitter for years and years, and I probably posted 3 times.
Yeah, man, Twitter is something that you have to be on there day in and day out. It's like a job. Like, people are really posting and talking and commenting every second. It's like, damn, like what are these people doing like with their day? You know what I'm saying? To be so present on Twitter. Do you have any upcoming events or anything that you're doing? Any programs that you want to let people know about?
It's interesting. I just recently I've had a few people come up and want me to talk, but now everything's virtual. So I don't even know how to put that out there. Yeah, come see me on this virtual whatever, right? So I don't have anything really planned as far as anything on my schedule. These type of things come up all the time, but I wouldn't be able to tell you when it's going to happen.
Just follow you on Instagram, and you'll post the next time that you got it.
Exactly, and I'll post it. We're in different times right now, man. Before this happened, we was all getting ready to go to Seattle to a bodybuilding competition, right? We had 4 or 5 of us getting ready to go together, and then
we were weeks out.
The world changed. You know what I'm saying?
Man, week
Everything. You
I
know.
was feeling real good too. I was like, yes. 4 weeks out, we was
So
about to be in Seattle in April.
yeah, I can't wait to for this to open back up, so I can really be in the middle of it all. You know, I
Right.
really enjoy um, feeling other people's energy live instead of over a computer. It's still kind of weird to me that these type of things. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
I used to really. I'm a hugger, right? I'm a hugger. You already know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I feel, the human touch is healing. I think
Mhm.
we're supposed to do these things. You know what I'm saying? So I really like to be
Exactly.
around people. I don't care if I know you or not now because everybody's freaked out. But if it wasn't COVID,
Hey, you might catch an uppercut, Monk. So you try to go hug somebody.
but hey,
You try to hug somebody this day and age, somebody's gonna
yeah,
hit you in the throat. Back up 6 feet.
right?
Give me six
Yeah.
feet.
But if it wasn't COVID, you know that I'll hug you. And I don't even care who you are. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I get down, man.
Yeah. All right, man. Once again, like always, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and coming to give our viewers all the jewels that you dropped this evening. Make sure you go follow Monk on his social media platforms on IG. We'll have everything posted in the description for you if you need to go follow him. Uh, Remember to go follow us, Heal the Hood. We have our Facebook page, which is Heal the Hood at Heal the Hood 2020. If you go on to our IG, it's Heal the Hood podcast for all our latest events. We just got done working with a elementary middle school, and was able to do an event. Was it last week or the week before? We were able to do a
That was
heal.
that was really nice, man. That was
Yeah,
really I
we
really
got a
enjoyed.
lot of we got a lot of great feedback working with the school and able to help provide produce and meals and education. And a lot of parents gave a lot of great feedback. So it's just one of those things that's continuing to grow. Going into 2020, we're looking to have more events, live events where we get to come out in the community and share the information and inspire, educate, and motivate those that are looking for it. So remember to follow us on our social media. Remember to follow your man Cat. You can find me on IG at CatFitness3. You can follow me on Facebook at Cat Fitness, YouTube Cat Fitness. I have a Twitter, but I'm not going to give it out because I'm never on Twitter. So there's no point. But you can definitely check out my website is www.catfitnesswellnesscenter.com. If you're interested in our Heal the Hood apparel, as you can see right here, we got the hoodies, t-shirts. You can check out our apparel on our website. We also have our Plant Power Brothers hoodies and t-shirts available. We also carry supplements, vegan-friendly supplements. We have our CMOS, which is sea moss, bladderwrack, and burdock root, which gives you the 102 minerals that your body needs on a daily basis. We have that available on the website. We also have some of our detox programs. So go ahead and check out the website. Once again, that's www.catfitnesswellnesscenter.com. I want to give a huge shout out to our partners, the Vegan Hood Chefs. They have a couple of announcements I'm going to be making. Unfortunately, they weren't able to hop on today's episode because they got a lot of food to cook for these holidays, but they're doing a event called The Jacket and the Jackets. It's going to be at the Speakeasy on December 19th. Between 12 and 7 p.m. It looks like it's going to be a pop-up coat drive, and you can go to IG and go to at Speak Easy. It's 1195 Evans Avenue in San Francisco. And it looks like for every jacket that you bring, you get 10% off your meal. So go ahead and take advantage of that, y'all. So you get 10% when you purchase when you bring a jacket, you'll get 10% off your meal when you make a donation. And that's going to be December 19th between 12 and 7 at the Speakeasy, 1195 Evans Avenue. Another announcement we have for the Vegan Hood Chefs. What do they have? They have Vegan Hood Chefs, the Grinch stole grits. Uh-oh. It looks like it's, yeah, the Grinch stole grits. That's going to be on December 20th at the Speakeasy again. And that's going to be, what time is that going to be? That's going to be between 11 and 4. So go check that out. They're going to have 2 back-to-back events. Make sure you go follow the Vegan Hood Chefs on IG, and that's at the Vegan Hood Chefs. You can also follow them on Facebook at the Vegan Hood Chefs, and go check out their website, www.theveganhoodchefs.com. And once again, thank you for everybody that tuned in. You can re-listen to this broadcast on Spotify and all your podcast networks. So go check us out and follow us on there. And make sure you tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you once again, Monk, for starting it off with our Oakland Heal the Hood coach. And we're going to see you next week, y'all. We enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Have a great one.